Welcome everybody to the Mind, Body, and Soul TV, coming to you live from our Denver, Colorado studios. I'm your host, Coach Steve Todt, the founder of Conscious Evolution Media, going on 15,000+ shows and more than 12 years. We have a fascinating guest with us this evening. Rosie Kuhn, PhD, is joining us from Washington. Welcome to the show, Rosie.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we are, as always, of course, streaming on YouTube Live, as well as Hangouts and at consciousevolutionmedia.com. And the theme of the show for this evening is how to cultivate spirituality in children. And I got to share something with you right away, Rosie, because I can't stand it. So when I looked into your book, and I looked at several chapters, read a few things, what came to me immediately is I already know the title of your next book.
Oh, good. Tell me.
Do you know what it is?
I can't wait. How to cultivate spirituality in grown-ups.
By children. By children.
Yes. By children.
I'm glad that we are vibrating at the same frequency. So this is part one. And part two is coming. Start writing, would you?
I will. In fact, I'm doing these videos, this 28-day video series. It's free, called Parent Like a Guru. And I just, tomorrow, Sunday's video and blog is about children are our gurus. They're our teachers.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
You're right on the money, man.
Fantastic. Oh, and I'm not attached to being right on the money. So
of course, yeah.
Just for the sake of new viewers that have never been on Conscious Evolution Media or on YouTube watching that channel, just give us a little background on who you are, where you've been, and how you got to this moment. The short version.
Short version. Grew up in a family of 9, number 6, Catholic, alcoholic parents. All I wanted to do is get married, have kids, and live happily ever after. Became a non-custodial parent at the age of 26. Became a marriage and family therapist, which is what the heck was she thinking? Moved to Nova Scotia, where I worked in recovery and addictions after I got my master's degree.
Oh, wow.
And met a man with a large sailboat, sailed across the ocean.
Wow.
Didn't sail back, flew back without the boat.
Did you say the man was large and the boat was large also?
The boat was large. The man was large in presence. He was quite remarkable person.
Okay.
Found the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology in Palo Alto, California, where I did my PhD in transpersonal psychology, and focused on spiritual guidance. Found life coaching to be an integration of the therapeutic process I was going through, the spiritual processes I was learning, and coaching, which takes people into their optimal selves. So that was that. And then once that was done, I started coaching. I've been training people to be transformational coaches for about 10 years, 15 years actually. And I've been writing books since 2008, starting with Self-Empowerment 101. And the most recent book, as you mentioned, is Cultivating Spirituality in Children, 101 Ways to Make Every Children.
How did you find that cute kid?
Well, I gave birth to my daughter, and then she gave birth to this guy.
Oh my God, he is a wonder. Oh my God, he is so beautiful. Oh my God.
Yeah. So he's Andrew, and he's 4.5, and he inspired this book because as a grandparent, going, okay, how do I cultivate spirituality in my grandchildren? I did a lousy job in my children, I think. I mean, in terms of sort of direct. How do you do that? How do you do that? And I thought, well, teaching it by talking doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So I came up with the original title was Cultivating Spirituality in Children, 101 Ways, 101 Opportunities to Practice Before I Preach. Mm-hmm. So really looking at what are my thoughts? How do I be in the world that when my children or grandchildren or other people see me, they want to emulate that versus something else. So that's how it all came about. And that's how I got here with you.
Oh, fascinating stuff. Yeah, very fascinating stuff. So I kind of skimmed through the whole thing. I didn't have time to read it. I promise I will read it. I skimmed through it, and I noticed that there were certain sections and certain titles of the book really intrigued me. So if you don't mind, I'd like to get a little bit more into some of these sections, and
That'd
of course, you're welcome to add to the sections. There's no way to cover it all. There is so much wisdom and so much information there that it would be impossible to go through it in 1 hour. But let's attempt, for us to give a pretty good insight to the viewers what the book is all about. And as far as I'm concerned, every parent needs to go out and buy one today, like right after the show.
Thank you. Yep.
Don't wait.
On Amazon. Yeah.
Don't wait. Don't procrastinate.
Yeah. They don't even have to go out. They just have to take their finger, Amazon.
Yeah, that's right. Just click the button and move on.
Yep.
So the very first one that caught my eye is The End of Confusion. And the reason why that caught my eye is because what occurred to me, and I don't know if this is going to happen now on all the shows all the time, because I have goosebumps now. Permanent goosebumps. Maybe I'm turning into a turkey. I don't know. So
turkey bumps, yeah.
So The End of Confusion is such a cool title, because what has become so important to me, as I'm becoming more and more aware, is how important clarity is.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's talk about that part of your book, The End of Confusion. What did you mean by the end of confusion, and what is the confusion?
Well, the confusion is who we are in this body, in the consensus reality that says we have to make money, we have to be afraid of other people, there's violence and bad things happening in the world, we have to be afraid, and we have to be protective and try to go for safety. So that's one reality. The other reality is the spiritual self that we know, that we remember when we were young. We remember the wonder and the innocence. We remember our connection to something greater than ourselves, where there is no fear, where we are, in a sense, in our essence selves, where we know ourselves to be more than just fear and a personality. So the end of confusion is being able to choose, if you will, which reality you are going to live into. The one that's fear-based, or the one that is truth-based. So the end of confusion is, and every single one of us has to come to the decision, that choice point of what am I going to choose and how am I going to live according to, we'll say most people would choose truth-based versus fear-based. How do I do that? How do I live into that? That's the biggest question that I think every one of us is living into. And most of us are trying to avoid and ignore that question because it's so, we don't have a knowing of that. We have spiritual teachers, we have Bibles and Torahs and all kinds of books that can guide us. But when it comes down to direct experience of it, we kind of run away from it. Mm-hmm. So the end of confusion is the willingness to actually step into the direct experience of investigating.
Okay.
Make sense?
And yeah, it does. So what part of that, what's coming to me right now is clarity is the desire that we're talking about, right?
Yes.
And then most people seems to be confused. And when I look at the desire, the clarity being desire, or the desire being clarity, more accurately, what's present for me is that how many of us really know who we are?
That's right.
Like, who are we really?
That's right. That's right.
I mean, I'm having this experience nowadays that I am more present to that I am just a vibration. I am just a frequency, and all of this stuff that I'm experiencing, that I'm manifesting, like how many people do you think on the planet knows that they are creating whatever reality that they are living into? Like,
Yeah.
totally.
And a lot of people will say, I know that, or a lot of times people will say, and especially when I'm talking to people and coaching in that spiritual domain, and I'll say, what do you know to be true for you? What is it that you say to other people? And they'll say, we are love, we are oneness, we are abundance, the universe is always in our favor, it's abundance for us all. And okay, great. So, and how do you, and then they'll go, but I'm afraid.
That's already a turnaround.
That's right. That's right.
But
so it's like, wait, stop. You know this to be true. You know this. And people will say, I know it. But, and then they go, and I go, how do we keep you here in the knowing? How do we do that? And, the idea of the book is, here's some ways to have you practice staying in the knowing, even though it's scary. Sometimes it's scary as you know what. Because we don't know, and we're saying here's this consensus view of reality that says you got to be afraid, and why would God let bad things happen to you? If he's really a good guy, why would? So we get into that argument place, as opposed to saying, no, I know this is true, and I'm going to live as if this is true. And what I did 5 years ago was take that on as an experiment, because I believe this is true, and if I believe it's true, then how about I walk my talk?
Mm-hmm.
How about I practice what I preach?
And it gets more interesting when you go into the herd, right?
Into the herd, yes. Totally.
This has been pretty easy for me to do, while I decided to be like a self-evolution monk,
yes.
creating this network, and I locked myself up in a 12 by 12 studio, not doing anything else than this. But then I was asked to go out into the world and see, how this stuff that I seems to experience, works in the real world, in the herd.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's working pretty well.
Good.
Because I am not allowing the negativity to enter into my experience. Even when other people are attempting to bring it to me, it doesn't exist for me. I just don't even notice it. I just keep over it.
Well, even as a monk, I'll give you an interesting example. So I finished the book, and I'm very excited about it. And then I start doing my taxes, catch up on my taxes. And I watch myself and I go, oh my God, I'm going to have to pay this amount of money. I don't want to pay this amount of money. So I start fudging with the numbers so that I don't have to pay the amount that looks like I have to pay. And I work really hard, and I get the number to where I think I could pay that. And I go, okay, I'm done. And I walk away and I go, wow, I just lied. And I just lied, Here I have this book about integrity, and I'm sitting to do my taxes, and all of a sudden I'm not in integrity. I'm out of integrity. So I was going for a walk when I, kind of knocked myself in the head, came back and redid the numbers from a place of integrity and truth. Because by lying and cheating, I had to ask myself, why am I doing that? What is my belief that has me lie and cheat? It isn't that it's wholeness and oneness and universe provides. It's the other, right?
Well, it's more than that. It's you have to vibrate at a certain frequency. You have to go opposite. Remember how we talked about this in another show? That you have to become the opposite of your desire. You have to begin to turn around from who you really are. It's like that beautiful frequency and that beautiful being that you are, you have to say no to it.
For what purpose?
In order to vibrate at that frequency, to cheat.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Is it worth it?
That's right. There was a, again, I say, okay, here's what's true: oneness, abundance, all of those things. And all of a sudden I'm trying to cheat. And I had to ask myself, where does that come from? And it's a fear-based, cheating and lying and all that is fear-based. And so I went from love and open and essence-based automatically to this other place. But I was so uncomfortable in my body, it was like I had to question myself. So the point is that, I write this book and I practice it, and oh my God, aren't I great? And then I go to do something, and I go back into the reality of fear-based. And it's so challenging because, like you said, the herd, our consensus view of reality, or the culture of this earth planet is so fear-based. It's really, really hard to stay focused and not only focus, but to practice staying in this love presence.
But interestingly, it's a contrast. And what I wanted to focus on just for a moment with you, is because first of all, it takes something for you to even share this. And so I really appreciate it. And that's really what our network is all about. And we have people on the network that has a real time doing that. So what I'm really curious about is that share a little bit about the emotions that you were dealing with when you were aware and noticed about cheating and lying. What were the emotions that were present?
That's a great question. First of all, there was the feeling of,
Did you feel bad? Did you feel bad?
Well, first I felt good, right? First I felt good because I was successful in cheating. In my mind, I hadn't pushed any buttons. I just got those numbers where I felt good. Then I put my shoes on and went for a walk, and it was immediately I felt uncomfortable in my body. That discomfort of, this is not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And so I had to ask myself, well, what is that? You've just done something successful, blah, blah. And and it's like, because I'm not honoring my knowing, I'm not honoring my truth that the universe provides and supports. And I had to ask myself, that the lying and cheating came from a place of fear, and a fear of not enough, a fear of lacking. It's like, I don't have that amount of money, so I'm going to make it so I do have that amount of money.
So I just want
that fear was really driving the lying and the cheating. And
so I just want to make sure that the viewers get it, that the emotions are the system in our beingness that really shows us where we are.
Yes.
On this scale, in terms of what our desire is and where we are in the moment.
Yes.
And then how did you, and yeah, I get it that it felt bad, right? So how did you get yourself to feel better?
Well, I had to ask myself what operating system I was using. Was I using my essence and truth-based, or was I operating from my fear? And because I'm so committed to living from my truth-based operation system, I had to question, and I go, okay, I don't want to live from this fear that I lack or that there's lacking. So because I want to choose differently, I chose, no matter what, to live in truth. And as soon as I decided that, it was like, that's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, because I truly believe that the universe provides and is full of potentiality. And I don't have to worry about where the money's going to, it's not, there's no worry in there.
The universe will take care of that, actually. You will attract to you exactly what you need to take care of what you need to take care of.
That's right.
There's no worrying. The only thing we need to be, again, there's that word conscious of and aware of, is where we are on the scale.
Yes.
Are we feeling good, or are we feeling bad?
That's right. And some, in the recovery language, they call it restless, irritable, discontent. We feel that agitation, the aggravation, but we don't ask ourselves, what is it that's creating that aggravation? We just go, oh, I got to do something, just distract myself from the aggravation.
Right. Let's have a drink.
Let's have a drink. Let's go shopping. Let's turn on the Facebook. Let's watch
have sex.
Let's have sex. Yeah. Let's eat.
It will all go away.
Yeah.
It will all go away.
So what we do is we tend to distract and avoid the restless, irritable, discontent, that place, or the fears, and and do something so that will mask it. My practice is, and the book is all about paying attention to what it is like to be in this moment, being me, with the discomfort of lying and cheating, and is that okay? So the questioning of self rather than the denying of self. That's what the book is about, in a way that I hope is somewhat playful and somewhat engaging enough to have people actually question. The other piece that I think is really important that you're bringing up is, it's like, it's one thing to say we are the vibrational resonance, or that this is true about the universe provides, but unless we're willing to experiment in terms of direct experience with it, we won't know. It's just a theoretical perspective. We have to actually, in a sense, if we want to learn how to drive, we actually have to get behind the wheel and drive.
Right.
We have to make the mechanisms of direct engagement with life, and that's where we get really scary. We'd rather be on the sidelines, in the bleacher seats, watching life go by, and not fully participate. But it's only through full participation will we gain the experience to say it's a no-brainer, of course, and our children get it more effortlessly.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you about that, because I have 5 grandkids. And what you have, just one or more?
Yeah,
than
just one.
Okay, so I have 5, and I've noticed in their way of being and resonating, that they are always seem to be in their desire.
Yes.
And then we knock them around, adults, trying to show them that there's a better way.
Yes.
And that better way is fear. Well, don't do that.
Yeah, that's the wrong way. Yeah. Yeah.
That's weird. That's just weird.
And again, in this 28-day video series, Parent Like a Guru, and that's free. Again, I'm just letting people know it's free. They can go to Google Parent Like a Guru and sign up. They're 28-day free videos and blogs. And so in saying that, now I forgot what I was going to say. That we the most important piece is that we as grown-ups, parents and grandchildren or grandparents, need to say, what do I want in relation to my children? What do I want for them? But quite often it's like, what do I want? I want my father really, for my dad, it was really important for his children to be beautiful, his girls to be beautiful, and they weren't. And so he was like, worked really hard in trying to make us beautiful. And in doing that, it really affected my sisters more so than me, in terms of how they saw their self-worth. So his desire for them to be beautiful didn't work. It was very harmful. And a lot of parents want their kids to be, great students or great athletes or great, beautiful people or whatever. And when it doesn't happen, that's a desire of ours that is ego-driven versus that larger desire for, I want my children to be happy. I want them to love life. I want them to know their own desires and fulfill those desires because they're there. And that's exciting for me, is to, like, I think what you're saying is engage our grandchildren or our children in what is their desire and supporting them to do
First of all, notice it, be aware of it.
Yes.
Don't ignore it, and don't put it under the carpet. Like, some parents have this idea that because they are a doctor, their kids should be a doctor too. That's BS.
Yes. Or they should go to the same schools or the right schools and all that.
Yeah. Or whatever. It's not up to the parent. It's not up to the parent. That to me is control, which is again the opposite of whatever desire you could have. So I'm paying attention in terms of my grandkids, what it is that is their desire and what lights them up, what makes their heart sing. Yeah. And I just support that.
Yes.
And it's absolutely outrageously beautiful. It's like I have nothing to worry about because, like, my little 4-year-old, she loves to dance, so I signed her up for dance lessons.
Lovely.
And she's doing jazz and she's doing ballet, and she loves it. And she comes alive. And the other kids, one of my grandkids is loves to draw, loves to put things together. So I support that, and every one of the grandkids have one of these things that they love. So what else?
How are you different as a grandfather than you were as a parent? What have you learned that makes you this kind of grandparent? What's shifted for you?
I learned that, what I was just describing, because I knew nothing about that. Right. I had no clue. When my kids were growing up, I had no clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really.
No, I get it. I didn't either.
Not only that, I was one of those fathers that, I was a consultant and I was traveling all the time. I was not even there for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting how, my family, has become this incredibly connected family after all these years, because we actually had an opportunity to recreate our connections and recreate our love for each other. I'm talking about my kids and myself.
Yes.
Through their children.
Yes.
It has all transformed. They not get me.
Yes.
and I get them, and I get my grandkids, and it's a totally different world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's beautiful. I mean, I play tennis with my son. He calls me up and says, "Hey, Dad, you ready to go play tennis?" I said, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
"When do you want to go?" And I just go do it. And then my other son goes, "Do you want to come watch the Broncos with me?" I said, "Absolutely." And how many, I don't know a lot of 30-year-olds that are really doing that with their parents.
Yeah.
They prefer to be away from their parents.
Do you think it has to do with what you've done and how you've shifted as a human being?
Oh, it has everything to do with that. Yeah, it has everything to do with that, because it's the focus is not really me. The focus is, I forget about me when I'm with my kids and when I'm with my grandkids. I'm not the focal point of the attention, which I could say was not the same when I was this other individual. Yeah. I always had to be in the center of attention, at whatever cost. And now I couldn't care less. It's not about me. It's about them.
Yeah.
And to see them happy, joyful, and doing the things, being involved in the things that really lights them up. And it's their desire. It's so obvious. You can't. This is like not something that you can make a mistake about. It's obvious. It's there.
Yes, but and what I'm hearing though is that shift from me focus, which you were in your earlier time.
Oh, I was a consultant that was doing $500 an hour. Do you think I was a different person when I went home? No, I was the same asshole. Excuse me. We don't have the FCC on these shows, but I was the same a-hole.
Yes.
That I was in corporate business at home. Yeah. Because I didn't know how to be anything else.
Yes, I get that. And when my kids were in their early 20s, and I was a therapist and learning to be a coach and stuff like that, they at one point said, "Mom, we don't like it. We don't want you to be a therapist to us all the time. We want you to be our mom." And it's like, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to, because it was vulnerable to be with them without my therapy, I'll tell you how to do it right, or listening like a coach, or listening. And it's like, and I really appreciated my daughter saying that. And I felt the vulnerability of being me as a person with these other human beings that were my kids. Because I thought that they would value me more if I, was smart as opposed to just me. But my daughter has always laughed at me because I have a PhD and I'm probably one of the silliest, sometimes, not very smart kind of people.
Well, I know some people in Boulder that have 3 of them.
Have PhDs, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I think that, what we're talking about is, part of, again, what's in the book and how to cultivate spirituality in the children is the degree to which we are willing to be ourselves. And when we're just being without the doing of personality, if we're just being, then we're like enraptured with our children's presence. We're enraptured with anybody in front of us. You know, you doing what you do on the show, you're enraptured with just about every person that comes on as a guest. And I think, I mean, that's the delight most of us feel when we're in the presence of our grandchildren. But I feel that more and more so for everyone, but with my children as well, feeling that enraptured with the presence and having, you know, it's like one place I wrote, and I was very proud of myself, that being in the presence of my children is not a right, it's a privilege. And feeling truly, I mean, I had to get to a point of knowing that because I had some attachment to them being the kids and being in relationship with me the way I wanted it to be, and going, that's not the way it works. You got to let go of my attachment of how I want it to be, and feeling the privilege of being in their presence. And I think that's true for every one of us when we can get there. And so I'm hearing that you're delighted when you're in the presence of your children.
Oh, absolutely. And they had some issues with credit, and I helped them. I helped them how to fix it, and now they understand some of the things that I know and I'm good at, and they actually appreciate it. And there's things that I'm suggesting to them that I know that could make a big difference in their lives. And it's not like I'm telling them that you're going to do this.
Yes.
I'm just offering it as a possibility. And it's amazing that now my kids are actually paying attention and taking the stuff on. It's like,
right.
Like, okay, well, that's just dad, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right. But it sounds like too that you've shifted from I'll tell you how to do it right to, hey, here's a way of looking at it. You can take it or leave it, which is far more respectful than saying I know and you don't.
Right.
And we can say that. I know a lot of people who operate that way every day. They talk as if they know and you don't. And it's fascinating. And I think we do that a lot with our children and are unconscious of that. And so part of cultivating spirituality in children is being mindful of what we're saying and who's in front of us and how we're speaking to this individual, whether it's a child or whether it's a grown child in our grown-up form.
Right. Well, nobody that I come across likes to, including myself, likes to be told what to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will put up with it, in corporate America and a lot of kids will put up with it with their parents because they don't know what to do about it.
That's right. That's right.
So I actually, a number of times, talking about the end of confusion, part of your book, you have actually gone to the next section that I kind of selected. So I want to take the opportunity to go there because it's right.
Okay.
The next section I want to talk about is enter the ego. So it's like, okay, because I talked about the ego a lot on this network, and it's not like that I don't think it's possible to get rid of it, get rid of our ego, but all I know is that mine is so well behaved in comparison to the way it used to be. And and my ego knows what his job is, and he's no longer allowed to drive my vehicle.
Okay.
I basically taken the key away and say, you can take the key from me when you notice that I am in some kind of a danger and you need to protect me. But other than that, I'm the driver.
That's right.
You're just along for the ride.
So let me see if I can explain this. And I put my fingers up so that I can hopefully
No problem.
do it easily. My perspective is that we've incarnated millions of times or thousands of times, and that many of those thousands and thousands of times we've been hurt and killed and we've died. So this element of ourself that needs to protect and survive is what we call the ego. And over time, as in lifetimes, it has created many, many strategies for surviving. Okay. So this ego thing is not just this part that wants to control. This part is we've trained it to keep us safe. Okay. Does that make sense so far? We've trained
yeah,
it
it
to do
makes
that.
absolute sense.
Okay, so we've trained it, and it's like a partner, and it's been crucial to our survival. Period. Okay.
The part that doesn't make sense to me, maybe you can
Yes.
help me with this, Rosie, is that not that I know this for sure, but I have an intuition about it.
Yes.
Is that we never die, and
Yes.
so since we never die, what is this big drama that we have created on this planet about having our frequency or our vibration change from this human form to a different form? What is that about? It's like I'm not afraid of death because I know I'm not dying. I'm just transforming to some other frequency, some other energy.
Well, again, our reality, we've got the context of oneness and universal source of all that is, and in that we relate easily with a non-visible world. We trust and have faith, and not even that, but we have a knowing of that greater existence. We're just part of it. But in terms of the physical dimension, it makes sense within the logical, rational mind, which is separate from the oneness mind. It's limited to what it can think and feel and do. So that perspective keeps us in this body and keeps us in that limited reality. That fear is to be respected at all costs. So the ego over lifetimes in physical form says this is the way. But as consciousness is evolving and we are expanding, we can go, wait a second, this is survival based. This ego is survival based, and we can honor and respect it for everything it's attempting to do to keep us alive. However, it's limiting because we have this greater awareness now of a greater reality, that we're more than just the need to survive, right? Because in the reality that you're talking about, we don't need to survive the physical form because it's eternal. Mm. So this ego thing that we call
there's
ego,
nothing to survive.
There's nothing to survive. But what we've trained this being to keep to survive. We've trained this to take care of us. It's like a seeing eye dog, if you will. We've trained it to do its job.
So,
and
so
now,
let me run something. Let me run something by you, because I just have like this intuition about this.
Okay.
So I'm sure you've seen science fiction movies with robots, and it's a very very popular subject these days. And they all have what they call a primary directive.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. And I feel that in the realm of humanity, we have this primary directive, and that's been given to the ego. And I have this
feeling. That again. Just say that again.
There is this primary directive that has been given to the ego.
Yes.
So in a way, we are a lot like robots, and we're a lot like that design, especially when we are not awake and conscious. Because when we're not awake and conscious, we have to have a primary directive to make it moment to moment.
Right. Well, we have this primary directive to survive. That's the ego's job. But we also have our natural blueprint, which is the eternal self that is the essential nature. So we have this prime directive and we have this prime directive. And what each of us has to do is decide, which prime directive am I going to listen to?
Right.
Okay. And for me personally, because I'm just a regular, like I said, I'm sixth of nine kids in a dysfunctional family, and so I have had to do my work, due diligence, to get to this level of going, okay, this is what spiritual teachers say. This is the prime directive to pay attention to. Here's the way I've been operating. Now I got to choose. I got to choose to walk my talk or walk my talk. I have to choose. And each of us will at some point come to this place of deciding, do I listen to this prime directive or to this prime directive?
Well, we don't have to choose in a way because the prime directive, which is the ego, is automatic.
But this is automatic too, Steve. This is automatic because it's eternal and it's universal unfolding. It's automatic.
Yes, it is. It is automatic, but it's almost like in human beings that creates a confusion because they don't know which one to listen to.
That's right. That's where the confusion and the end of confusion.
As long and if you're confused, then that's really the first section that we talked about, the end of confusion. If you're confused and if you don't know who you are, then we're on automatic pilot, right? Which is this one.
That's right. Well,
okay.
So when people are confused or life crisis is a good time where life begins to be meaningless. And what do? How do you choose? Or people, even with terminal illnesses, go, okay, what do I do? How do I see it? They're, in a sense, and you're right. People don't have to choose. They can continue to be confused and they can continue to use mind-numbing and emotional numbing of substances or activities so they don't ever have to choose. But inevitably, according to my sources in the prime directive, inevitably they will choose. But if it's like you can go either way, and that's okay. But just being clear about what's the consequences of choosing this fear-based oriented. What's the consequence of that? What's the consequence of choosing this prime directive? And if you give intelligence to it, if you give discernment and thinking about it, you start to gain wisdom. You start to cultivate awareness. You start to cultivate a desire to try something different. Just expand a thought by this much, and you're starting your journey. Your journey.
Yes, Rosie, I agree, but you're making it really very simple. You're making it too simple.
That's my job.
And that's okay. That's okay. I like that. However, in the real world, what I'm experiencing or have experienced, not that it bothers me anymore, but it used to complicate my life. So you add these additional layers. You add religion, you add society, you add morality, you add politics, and you add all these other ingredients into life, and all of a sudden it's not that simple.
You have to make it simple, Steve. You have to make it simple, because because that's the challenge, is that is universal truth universal, or is it universal until something scary shows up? Is it all in divine order except when you don't like what it is, how it is? And that's what a lot of people do.
Let me share with you something this morning that I was listening to. I was listening to 630 KHW here in Denver, and all I was hearing is, extreme negativity, and what I was present to is, oh my God, I wish I could just, if I had the power to just take over the station right now and talk about what we talk about on this show, is that don't you guys get it, that talking about all this negativity, you're just getting more of it, you just keep it more in existence. This is your reality, and everybody that's tuning into the show, they continue to keep it in existence. So as soon as I became aware of it, I said, I'm changing channels right now.
That's great.
Let's change the music, because I'm not giving this any more power.
Excellent. Yeah. When you asked me if I had heard about the events in the world, and I said no, I didn't.
And I got that from you, and I got your energy about it, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to share that with you, because it doesn't even belong in this frequency that we're about to do. So I just basically said, forget about it. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter.
And it's again, it's like, how do I live my life from the prime directive that I'm choosing, which is universal source of all that is, love, and abundance and wisdom and that. How do I live my life? And when the fear element comes in, I have to choose around politics, around economics, around hunger, all of those things. I have to choose, how do I see the world? And I have to continually choose, which way am I going to choose? Now, some people can say, well, that's being really, what's the word for it? I don't know. Like selfish or woo-woo or whatever. It's unrealistic. But the fact is it's very realistic. And the more, and I'm sure this is true for you, I'm just saying this, I think from what I know about you, it's true, is that the more that you live in the prime directive of truth, the more substantial and the more logical it makes sense of what's happening from this perspective. And this seems so illogical after a while. Why pay attention? Why listen to news when it's so negative? Why give energy and invest in that when it doesn't help? It doesn't support wellness and well-being.
Right, because me listening to it, I just lowered my frequency.
That's right.
To that, and the alternative would be is for me to not lower my frequency, keep my frequency high, because that's the way that I can make a difference in the world.
That's right.
I can't make a difference by joining the rest of the crowd.
That's right.
Feeling bad.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm really triggered. People tell me things, and I get really despairing, and I get really I get caught in it, in the energy of that, and I get really hooked in and really scared. And I have to pull myself out. Again, this is a place of self-empowerment. And I'm all about transformation. I'm all about self-empowerment, because without the ability and the willingness to choose to self-empower, people can't make the changes they need to make a difference in the world. So you changing the channel, saying, I'm not going to do this to myself, is a form of self-empowerment.
Myself, I'd like to, what I heard myself saying is, I'd like to be powerful enough so that I could break into this transmission, into this broadcast right now, and they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't get rid of me. Because it's almost like I wanted to be that kind of a force, because nothing is changing them. And I said, you know what? I don't have that kind of power, and I don't know if I ever will, but I have the power to just change the channel.
That's right. That's right. David Hawkins is somebody that I love his work, and he wrote the book Power versus Force. And the more that I do this work of shifting my vibration, the more I get clear about the distinction between force, like breaking into the studio, breaking in and making making myself, unbeatable force. That's the force element, as opposed to the power of our resonance, the vibration, the power of living in your true prime directive. That is, we know that's changing the world. We know it, regardless of what the circumstances look like around the world. We know it's making a difference, because more and more people are evolving spiritually. More and more people have a higher level of consciousness than ever before.
Look at this, how this show is building. My next section that I picked was spiritual evolution. You just going exactly where I made like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes that I wanted to touch on these sections, and the third one is spiritual evolution. Amazing. You just took us there automatically.
That's the way it goes when you're in alignment, right? When you're allowing the unfolding, it just happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Yeah. So I'm happy to be part of this. Yeah.
So what is this spiritual evolution thing? Because that's what we're all about.
Well, you tell me. You got the sign there, but right at your shoulder. Conscious Evolution Media.
It's being redefined constantly, continuously, and it will be probably continuously being redefined, because I started the network, and I'm kind of the core of the network, and how it's changing, it has a lot to do with how I am changing, how I'm making a difference in other people's lives, and how consciousness itself, my willingness to be open and grow, changing me. It's a direct cause and effect.
Yes.
So when I stop growing and when I stop being open, there's weird things happening in the network. That's what I've noticed. You know, it's like weird things, weird
phenomenon.
You know, weird guests start showing up. I'm attracting things that are the opposite of what we're about, and I notice it very quickly, and then I have to put the correction in, and the correction is, you know, what is it that I need to do? What is it that I need to shift in here to grow? And when I grow, the network grows. And so I was sharing that with you the other day. I think that one of the interesting things that's happening is I'm more and more tuned into what is my desire.
Yes.
And that this is what right now my life is becoming about, is to be so tuned in. And here it is. As soon as I said it, the goosebumps appear right away. It's my indication also that I'm tuned into the energy and to universal vibration, because here it is.
Yes.
And I know that as long as I'm clear, which is your first section that we picked on, as soon as I'm clear what my desire is, everything, all I have to do is to pay attention to how I am feeling every moment. And if it feels good, I am tuned into that energy. I'm tuned into the vibration. Yeah. Everything that I want in terms of my desire will come to me. I don't have to worry, which is what you said. Remember?
Yes.
about money and taxes and all that stuff. It all comes. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to be concerned about it. All I have to know is to be tuned into this thing called my emotions, which is a tool that was given to me by design, to notice, hey, Steve, how are you feeling right now? So right now, because I love what we're talking about, you and I love this show, and I love the network, and I love my desire for the world is to be able to experience this. Everybody has this available to them. I'm not anything that special. So as long as I'm paying attention, hey, this feels really good. I am really doing something that I am very passionate about. I got nothing to worry about. My life is fulfilled right now. Yeah. If I croaked in the next minute, I would be fine. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not an issue. And I have to really pay attention. And so the truth is, there are times, Rosie, when I notice that I'm not feeling good.
Yep.
And I'm being called to the task. Okay, so now what? I don't feel good. Yeah. So then I just tune into, well, why is it that I'm not feeling good? What's the emotion? What am I feeling? And then all I do from that moment, oh my God, and here are the goosebumps again. From that moment, all I do is tune into what is it that I can do now that will make me feel better, that will turn me around and take me back to my desire. Yep. That's it. That's the work. Yep. It's not that hard, really.
That what can be challenging I think it's a great question, and the practice is great. What's challenging is sometimes it doesn't come immediately, and sometimes there's we have cellular memory, and that's where we get stuck and dense, and that's where the vibration is stuck in there. And sometimes we have to be with moments or weeks or months perhaps where it's not moving the way we would like it to. We know what our desire is. We want to move in that direction. But sometimes it takes deeper work. I'm in the process of writing a book called Spiritual Immersion, Taking the Plunge, which is when you have this awareness, I am not feeling myself, my love's, my whole being self, and I'm not feeling that. And then what is it that's interfering with that? It may sometimes take more than just a moment to say, oh, I know what it is, I'll just do this instead. But that deeper immersing process, which is where we empower ourselves to fully engage in the exploration of ourself, so that we can return to that desire. That's what gets challenging. It gets uncomfortable sometimes. It can get really emotional sometimes, or even physical. You feel kind of sick. You feel like you've got the flu. You don't, and people don't want to feel that. And they go, oh, there must be something wrong. I'll go see a doctor. They get medication or whatever, as opposed to just following it through, following it from exactly where you were. I'm not feeling well, to, okay, what needs to shift in me? And it might be just this evolution of self so that I can clear that stuff and be more myself. And this is, again, something that we can share with our children. We can model this for our children. It's okay to be in the unknown and be frightened of what we don't know. Every spiritual teacher I've ever heard pretty much talks about those moments where it was frightening for them to be in the I don't know. Sometimes there's saints and spiritual teachers that say they felt the presence of God for so long, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. And they felt abandoned. It's like, wow, they've experienced the most incredible things in the world, and then it's gone, and they go, I got abandoned. They go back to their human emotional self, as opposed to being able to stay in the wisdom of their higher self. So that's, I love what you're saying, and that the challenge is, can I stay in the exploration and the direct experience of this to the fulfillment of my desire? Every desire we have, whether it's for $1 million or that Corvette, every desire requires most likely this level of attention at some point.
Absolutely. In order to manifest it.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. This is about manifesting. And
that's right.
And people could go and say, well, this is weird. What are they talking about? Well, you, the viewers, will know that we're telling the truth. At least I'm telling my truth and you're telling yours. That if you turn around from your desire and you focus on these other things that takes you away from it, you are so powerful that you're going to create that.
That's right.
Wherever that's taking you. So there shouldn't be a question how powerful you are, because you already know.
That's right.
So I just wanted to bring an example from corporate America. This happened today. So I got called in by the two partners and by a person that I report to. You can say I got called on the floor. And they put me in the hot seat. and I noticed as soon as they called me, and I said, oh shit. So I said to myself, okay, so I'm not going to defend anything. I'm just going to be truthful, whatever they ask me. And I'm just going to be present and listen to what they're saying or what their concern is. So they asked me some really hard questions, and I answered the questions, and then I left the office. I got called into one of the partners' offices, and all three of them were there. So I felt the emotions of being intimidated. I felt the emotions of being somewhat nervous, although I don't think I showed it, but inside I could notice that I felt a little nervous because, it was uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable. I'm going like, and in the past, I would say I would get defensive, and I would try to defend me. And I'm going like, oh, there's nothing to defend. They just have some questions, and I just need to tell the truth about it.
Beautiful.
And that's what I did. And after I left the office, I was with myself for a minute, and I'm going like, okay, so these guys wouldn't have said any of those things to me if they didn't care about me. Okay, they noticed something. So what I'm trying to say here, I'm saying this. I chose to see the good in them calling me in on the floor than to see the bad. I could have chosen to see the bad. And then I would have created all this blah, 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 blah. And it would have spiraled down to the negative, and I would be pissed. I would be disappointed. I would be not loving me being there. And I just reminded myself, hey, Steve, you're the one that started this campaign, that I love it there. So guess what?
That's right.
Even that this happened, I'm still loving it there.
Yes.
So that's how I got over it, and it didn't have a big effect on me. And I appreciated the input that they've had, because they were trying to put something in for me that I lost track of, or I got lazy. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
So it was totally, I totally valued, what they did, and it was perfectly 100% okay.
Yeah. So it's really all in the perception, isn't it? What we choose to,
Yes.
you choose to see, I love it there. And
Uh-huh.
that you're so committed to it. You go, I'm coming back to this. You could have gone to, those SOBs or whatever. They're trying to get
They
me.
don't like me.
That's right. So
they think I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, and it's not about being woo-woo or, being superficial about it, because you really looked at what was going on and discerned and distinguished so that you could stay in your true directive, your prime directive. I love it.
And they talked to me because they cared. Oh my
That's
God.
right.
They cared.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's very cool.
So I said to the person that I report to, I said afterwards, I said, Matt, thank you. This was awesome. Thank you for having this conversation with me. It made a difference for me.
Excellent. That's great.
So there you go. All right. So the conscious hour is almost, well, it's been over, but I don't care. There's two more sections that I wanted to touch on, and that's turning inward is next. Can we say just a little bit about turning inward? We just did it.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a tendency to turn out and look for advice or look for people to fix, heal, and convert the situation. We have to look in, and that's where that spiritual immersion comes in. We hear spiritual emergence as a word, but spiritual immersion is choosing to go in and really, I call it spiritual intelligence. It's really getting intelligent. We're so smart. We're so intelligent, but we don't use our intelligence. We use our smart rat, if you will, who tries to fix but to get into and really utilize our spiritual intelligence, the intelligence that can make sense of right from wrong, that can make sense and will make sense from, I'm not feeling good in myself. I feel bad. If I feel bad, I can do something, or I can shift how I'm being to feel good. That's smart. That's using intelligence to say, this is not feeling good. I can shift how I'm being so that I feel good. What will that take? Is my lying?
The solution is not out there. It's in here.
That's right. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
That's
always.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And the last one, my favorite one, is dive into wonder.
Oh. When we can at least come into deciding which prime directive we're going to follow, then we can follow it as an exploration and as a place of wonder and curiosity about who we be. And all of the incarnations bring us to this moment. And so it's like getting curious about, how did that happen? Which incarnation, how did that work that evolved me to this person in this energy field, in this bubble of a form? How did that happen? How did that come to be? And we can get into that place of wonder and curiosity and fascination. And that makes it all worthwhile to me.
That's absolutely beautiful. So again, everybody, I highly recommend after the show, go get the book. Nobody's bookshelf should be without this one, because our kids are really our future.
I was going to bring up, there it is, Cultivating Spirituality in Children.
Yeah. Go get it. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Don't ponder.
Yep.
All right.
Or you can join the Parent Like a Guru and receive free 28-day videos on the subject. It's fun.
Yeah, fantastic. And just mention your website one more time.
It's theparadigmshifts.com. Theparadigmshifts.com, or you can Google Rosie Kuhn, Kuhn, and it'll show up.
Fantastic.
Easy. Yeah.
So Rosie, I can't tell you how much I don't have words how much I enjoyed being with you. on the show today. It has really
Thank you.
unfolded beautifully, and it was flowing graciously. And that's because I respect you tremendously. You bring a lot of wisdom and knowledge to the network, and I want to thank you for being who you are and how you're making a huge difference in the world every moment of your life. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And
We'll see you soon.
Soon, yeah, for sure. And other than going to her website and checking Rosie out a little more, keep coming back to Conscious Evolution Media as well. Keep coming back to our channel on YouTube. We have several thousand shows up there. And when you watch this show, if you were touched, moved, and inspired by anything that Rosie had said today or did today, I certainly was numerous times. Keep coming back, keep watching. The more you watch, the more these shows go to the top 10 every month, and we announce them at the end of every month, and they have the potential to go to public television. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. Thank you again, Rosie, for being here with us. And until next time, have a great evening and a fantastic weekend, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.